Hi there. I'm just gonna let people roll in. Just play some nice music for a few moments just to let people roll in for this impromptu Q&A. I've been getting some questions. This is really, there's nothing formal about this little open house today. I just wanted to give people an opportunity to drop in, ask any questions they may have about the program. I'm super excited to be starting May 1st. So, Beth, are you Beth H?
Yes.
Awesome. So you're signed up already. I'm so excited to work with you. That is incredible. I love that you're going to be part of it. It is a life-changing experience. More than half of the current group is continuing on, and many of them have been in even 4 or 5 rounds of it with me. I really do believe that to stay and be in recovery, we need to be in a daily conversation of recovery. And that is, both a conversation with ourselves, a conversation in community with others, and then, of course, guidance from someone like me makes all the difference. Liza, hi there. Would you like to ask your question? You inspired me to just get on here today and answer any questions because I do understand that it's a commitment of your time, your finances, your energy. What I do know is that when people commit to their recovery, that is willingness, that is surrender, and the results that come from that are pretty powerful. So what were you wondering about, Liza? Is it Liza or Lisa?
It's Liza, yeah. Wow, I feel on the spot a little bit. I guess I was wondering how many people are in each group and just kind of what the flow of a normal session is like.
Sure. The number varies. It varies by each level, depending. There are 4 different tracks of the program. So it depends which you choose. There are a certain number of slots for each level. Usually about 15 to 20 people come live each week. All groups are recorded. So if it doesn't work for your schedule, either in general, we have several European people, members, and so they often watch the recordings. If they have a question, they can submit it ahead of time, and that creates a really nice flow. So it's really available to you whenever you need it. We usually start out with some form of breath work and meditation. I teach you meditations that are specifically targeted to heal the nervous system and addictive patterns in the brain. So we will practice those together. That's usually the first 5 or so minutes. It's relatively short. Then I also teach the group emotional freedom technique, which is also known as tapping, which is another way of re-regulating the nervous system and helping to kind of circumvent and rewire some of those really persistent patterns that people struggle with when it comes to food and eating. So, not every single week, but many weeks we will do a specific um, EFT practice. Let me just look up my list just to give you an idea of what I mean by that. Um, I created for this particular group a whole separate portal. All of your videos will be in one single portable that's held on a platform called Teachable. And that's amazing because you can just simply access your videos whenever you need them. So just to give you a sense of like what kind of tapping did we do this particular session, the one that's currently wrapping up. We did an EFT for releasing food and body beliefs from childhood. We did an EFT for releasing self-judgment, an EFT on resistance to change, an EFT for overcoming overwhelm, an EFT for releasing fear, an EFT for freedom from destructive habits, an EFT for new beliefs about recovery, an EFT for a fresh start, an EFT for keeping commitments to yourself, an EFT for body appreciation with a meditation activity, and no more exceptions EFT, and so forth and so on. So you get the idea. I'm going to mute everyone just because there's some outside noise, but then Lisa, if you want to unmute yourself again, that's fine. So EFT is a really, new tool for most people. Some people have done it before, but not everyone. And that's, something that the amazing thing that about EFT for me in particular is that when I learned how to do it and teach other people EFT, I thought I would absolutely never use it in my practice ever. It was part of another workshop that I was doing, and it didn't initially even resonate with me. But the more and more that, clients would request it and I was trained to do it, so I would do that with them. And it's become one of the most powerful kind of like dark horse techniques in this program, because it's something that you literally feel the relaxation in your body after you've done it. And it's helping to take things that are ratcheting up your nervous system in a big way and usually driving you to behave toxically with food in one respect or another, and brings you back into a place where you have choice, which is incredible. And then we will, there might be a didactic portion where we're talking about a specific topic if it has come up over the course of the week. And then we dive into coaching. And the way that I did coaching this session was, hands up, first come, first serve, ask your question. We have a section at the end of every single coaching session that I call Burning Desires. If someone still has a question that for some reason hasn't been answered, that they definitely need an answer on, they get it. So the only coaching questions that don't get answered are the ones that are not asked. And I say that again and again because sometimes people hang back or they feel self-conscious about asking. You can always send a question in by email and I can answer it that way if that feels more comfortable at first. But what I love to do is have you ask your questions. And then from one week to the next, we have an ongoing conversation following up. The question doesn't have to be a question, it can be a check-in. There are so many ways to use the time, and my goal is for you to use it in a way that serves you. We have a Slack group, which is our conversation space for between sessions. That is for the group, for connection and community. It's not for coaching. Unless you have signed up for enhanced support or plus or premium, then you'll be DMing me, but I will only be DMing with people on Slack who have signed up for the extra support. Other than that, the Slack space is just a non-Facebook way for the group to build connection and community. And it's really awesome because it's a beautiful place to bookend and keep commitments, etc. And then for anyone who wants it, I divide the larger group into what I call pods, which are smaller groups where we meet 3 out of 4 weeks a month. So on that off week, if you want to meet as a pod and go over specific topics, some pods like to do book clubs and read certain books together. However you want to use that time is up to you. The pod is not mandatory, but it's just another way to create even more of a community within the community. What else, Liza?
I guess I was also curious about the connection with the bright line eating, and if like they go hand in hand, or if that's just another tool that you've worked with over the years.
Well, I consult for Brightline Eating. I do a coaching call for them once a week for people who have a history of food addiction and eating disorders. But this is a completely separate program from Brightline Eating. It is run through my own business. No one in Brightline Eating has any involvement in it. The vast majority of people in this group are Brightline eaters, but not all. There are some exceptions. Most people are using an abstinence-based approach, meaning trying to refrain from sugar at a minimum or flour as part of their food recovery journey. But there have been some people in the group where we have actually moved them back to a more moderation-based approach. And I do that usually on an individual basis, working with someone one-on-one within this framework. Any other questions, Liza? Does that feel good?
Yeah, I feel like someone else here must have a question too.
Well, you reached out to me, so I'm sure they do, but I just wanted to make sure we took care of
Oh,
you because we were also gonna do it at a different time. So if you have
thank
things to
you.
do, totally understandable. Thank you for reaching out. I do get that this is, this is a big investment of your time and energy, but what I have found is when people make this kind of investment, they get really serious and committed, and it really puts the fire under us to really take big, big leaps forward. And I truly believe that, this is a process of collaboration. So I can give you every single tool in the world, and then it's your job to use them. And if you're struggling using them, then we work through that. But it's definitely, this is a collaborative dance, and I try to make it joyful because I know how painful and difficult these problems can be, and it doesn't have to be as painful as it feels today if you're struggling. And I just do want you to feel encouraged by that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Yes, Beth.
So this is kind of along with the other question about the bright line eating.
Mhm.
So if we feel like bright line eating is not quite working the
Mhm.
way that we want it to, you're able to give us other options that maybe you wouldn't give if you were on the coaching call for bright line eating. Am I understanding that?
Absolutely. And it's not, I mean, even on a Bright Line Eating coaching call, once or twice I've suggested to people that they go back, that they eat flour and sugar and do some experiments because they are struggling. But I absolutely have 100% leeway to give any and all advice in this context. And so there really are no limitations in terms of um, the options available for sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome, Beth. Let's see, any other questions? Please feel free to raise your hand or just unmute, and we'll do that. I see lots of people off camera, which is cool, but we're not doing any coaching here today. I'm just doing Q&A and just want to give you the opportunity to really ask any questions that you have. There are a variety of degrees of symptoms that we work with in this group and different degrees of severity. Some people are just newly into this new way of eating and living, and some people are well into recovery. And what's beautiful is like the new people keep the people who've got a lot of recovery behind them like really focused on how easy it can all slip away, keep us focused, and the experience and the strength and the hope of people who have, more recovery maybe or more progress under their belt is also incredible. One of our group members has lost more than one, but one has lost more than half her body weight and is also a foster mother of many, many children and is an incredible inspiration, has so much experience. And, she has a journey too. We all do, even when we've made so much progress. And, I believe that recovery is not just about talking. One of the reasons why I really am very adamant about including meditation and EFT and other energetic techniques in the work that we do is because our behavior is not only controlled by conscious thought patterns, it's also controlled by subconscious thought patterns and different energetic patterns that have often been in place since childhood and can keep us stuck. And so we work on all of those levels to give you the opportunity to do true and lasting healing. This isn't about putting band-aids on things or white knuckling, hoping things will just get better that way, because some of that works in the short term, but not usually in the long term. So it's definitely a multimodal approach and highly interactive. Like, I want to hear from you. I want to know how you're doing. If you're struggling, I want to know it so that we can continue to work on these things. And, sometimes the magic in recovery comes from working less hard and not as hard, but showing up for the important things. And so helping to kind of simplify what you're doing so that you're getting a better result by doing fewer things is often something that happens for many group members as well. Let's see, anyone else? Any other questions?
Hi, I'll ask a question. Nobody else.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm actually just pumping right now, so I just
My
kind of
God.
boobs away.
Vanessa had a baby in like the past week, right?
Yeah, it was last Saturday. So
Oh my God.
yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so I was getting some emails, but this question might be a little redundant for those who are already well versed. Are you able to go over like the details of what's expected in this program? Like in how it works and all that jazz? Yeah.
What do you mean as far as what's expected? Like how often we meet, like what happens, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll put here in the chat a copy of the registration page, which gives you all of the logistical details, and I'll also share those now, but just so you have it for your reference, especially as a new mom, I'm sure you haven't been on the computer much. But we meet on the first, second, and fourth Mondays of every month from 4 to 5:30 Pacific time. Everything is recorded, so if you cannot attend live, then you can watch the recording, and there's a dedicated portal with all the group materials and videos. I have some progress trackers that I designed for you that are already even up there on the portal, and other resources for you, book recommendations, self-care recommendations, things of that nature. But the core of the group meets on Mondays. Again, everything is recorded, and then we have a Slack group for connection and community between sessions. After about the first month, once I get to know everyone and get a feel for personalities, you have the option to be split into what I call pods, which are smaller groups that will meet if you want. Either some choose to meet weekly, some like to meet on that off week that we have in the month. I like to give 1 week off a month so you have time to catch up on any videos that you may have missed, or just have a Monday where it's unscheduled and free. I'm a mom myself, and I know that it's just nice to know that there's one Monday a month that if I need to take my kids somewhere, for example, I can. If you have enhanced support, that means that you can send me messages by DM, by Slack between sessions. If you have questions that come up, or you need to bookend, or anything comes up, I suggest for anyone who's, highly symptomatic in their eating disorder to do the plus or the premium option, which means that you have either 1 or 2 individual sessions with me per month, because that is going to give you like the true one-on-one plus the group plus, because if you're really, really, really struggling, you just might need more support, but that's of course optional. And then, there are no other requirements. That's the framework of the group, and everything that you choose to do is optional. I encourage you to give everything suggested a try, but one of my key beliefs and things that I know from doing this work over so many years is one of the most important things that we can do is to take care of our nervous system. When we get into overwhelmed stress and anxiety, that's when food issues truly flare up. So I don't bombard you with so much stuff that you feel like you need to be doing. My goal is not to put you into overwhelm with the group itself. Our goal is to really bring some peace and give you tools right away that are going to help you rebalance your nervous system so that you can then really look at the food more logically and not need it so much for stress reduction, stress management as that outlet. And it takes time to find what works for you, but it really does work. And it's like the dark horse thing that people don't really ever talk about. I've never heard it mentioned much other than by myself, in the Brightline eating world, but I think it's the thing that drives people back to food again and again and again. And it's so automatic that you don't even necessarily realize it and still until you start to look at it. And so that's one of the things that we start to do together.
Very cool. And so I don't know that I identify with having like a eating disorder, but I definitely struggle with food.
Yeah.
And I've been a grazer. So my thing was like, I'm always eating, always eating. Bright line eating gave me that structure. So I'm not anymore, but yesterday I went in the ditch. So I was like, oh, and then I got an email today about this. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
maybe I do have
Perfect.
something that
Well, I think from speaking to you on coaching calls, I think you would be a great fit for this group. And I would tell you if you weren't, because I don't want anyone in the group who really isn't a fit, because it's not good for you and it's not good for the group. But from the conversations that we've had, I think this would be a great fit for you. And you don't need to have had a diagnosed eating disorder. I think anyone who struggles with food and eating and body image will benefit from being in this group. And that's something amazing that I'm able to do, you know, in the framework of this group. For example, in this past group, I saw that many people were seriously struggling with body image issues, and maybe in such a way that, yes, I could give some coaching and give some tips on how to improve that. But I ended up creating a whole new program, which was called Glow Up, which was a 1 month program that not only addressed body image, but self-image and how you feel. And everyone in the group got that program for free, you know, and I created it for them. And then I was able to share it with a larger group of people as well. So they ended up getting 8 extra coaching sessions that weren't part of our original understanding, because I saw a need in the group and created programming to fill it. And that's always my goal is, you know, we have this initial framework that we're working from. And then if I'm seeing a need that is not being filled, I will always do my utmost to make sure it does get addressed one way or another. So that was a really beautiful outgrowth of just a need that I was seeing in the group. And so I'm sure we're going to find a way to work that material in for those of you. I haven't figured it out exactly yet, but for those of you who maybe didn't do Glow Up but need it, we'll figure out a way to make that happen for you as well.
Okay, great. And so the sessions then on Mondays from 4 to 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, and those is it much like this then? It's like an open forum where we can ask questions, coaching?
So it starts out, we do some brief meditation and breath work to settle ourselves. There might be an EFT that we do, emotional freedom technique or tapping. And I'm going to definitely share the recording of this, Vanessa, because we went through this at the very beginning when you weren't on, so you can watch even more detail about that. And then we will move into coaching, and it's really hands up. Everyone's questions get answered. The only questions that don't get answered are the ones that are not asked. So and it ends up being awesome. And then, you know, after the initial questions happen, then it can be more like checking in and updating and tweaking whatever we've decided on earlier coaching sessions. The first couple weeks, we're kind of orienting. I'm doing a lot of the explanation and training around nervous system regulation. We do some future self work, which is really like preparing the framework and the groundwork for what you want to achieve over the 6 months, so that you know kind of the direction that you're heading or you want to be heading. And then we revisit that from time to time. Your vision may switch over time as you change. Your goals may change or they may stay consistent. So it's a really, you know, I truly, this group for me is a labor of love. I care deeply about each and every member, and I want you to get the most that you can out of this experience. I put everything that I have into it. It truly is the group that I created because it didn't exist. It was the group that I would have saved decades of struggle from if I'd had when I needed it. And so I'm just super proud of it. and excited for anyone who's even interested in it to consider it.
Wow, that's amazing. Sounds incredible. And there was something else I was going to ask. Now it's left me. What was it? Something around. And then we connect on Slack, right? You said we will
Yes.
stay connected on Slack.
Yeah.
In between? Okay.
Yeah. And there's even a Slack tutorial on the portal. Anyone, don't be stressed about Slack. It's pretty easy to use once you've tried it a couple of times, and you can have your notifications on or off. Some people love to have their notifications on, even if they can't answer things right away, just like someone described it in the group as like pings of support throughout the day that they would feel on their Apple Watch or wherever. But you can also turn off your notifications if you don't want to be disturbed. So there's definitely a wide range of ages and, you know, professional. There are many working professionals in the group. There are many moms. There are women who are grandmothers and in retirement. There's a really beautiful, nice range of experience in terms of the demographic of the group, which is a really nice thing as well.
Okay, and you mentioned there's usually about like 10 to 20 people on the call, on the Monday calls?
Usually probably 15 to 20 is how many people typically come live. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but that has been the average lately. Sometimes for some reasons it might maybe less or more. If I had an emergency with my dog about a month ago and we had a little earlier, there weren't quite as many people on, but those kind of reschedulings are extremely rare and for emergency only. There are a couple of holidays that fall on Mondays in the next 6 months, like July 3rd, and there's another date, a couple of other dates where it's like Memorial or Labor Day is also a Monday. So in those months, we'll probably go on a Monday when we would normally be off, but I'll give you plenty of advance notice on dates like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, Florence, yes.
Hi,
Hi,
can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so I was like concerned, if there are 20 people and it's 90 minutes, then if you tend to be a little more reticent or a little more introverted and it takes time to formulate a question, it's possible that you would never get a chance to have a question asked or answered then. Is that right?
It has never happened because not everyone wants to ask questions, every group. And I have a section at the end of group called Burning Desires, where if someone wants to ask a question and they haven't had a chance yet, that's the time. And I won't end the coaching call till every question is answered. But I know it sounds like everyone, you know, all 20 people might have a question and need, like, you're doing the calculations, but I swear it has always worked out. Not everyone wants to ask questions right away. And if someone is feeling like truly shy and just not comfortable, they can always email me the question and I will answer it in group, either anonymously or not, whatever your preference is. So, you know, it is my priority, again, to make sure that there are no questions that are left unanswered. And that's my commitment to you.
And Dr. Joy, you know me, I think. I've been on many coaching calls with you in that. And so, you know, I'm older and I have had an extremely long history with this disease and have tried many, many approaches. 12-step, weight clinic, 3 years with a binge eating disorder specialist. She was a clinical psychologist. Am I really appropriate for this group, do you think? You said you would tell me, honestly.
Yeah,
so
I think from what I know, you are, because you keep showing up and you're willing. And I don't believe that there's anyone who is incurable. And I think over the past year, I've seen you make some real shifts in your mindset and how you're approaching things. That doesn't mean that your food struggle has ended. But I can't promise you, but I have no red flags that tell me that this could work for other people in your situation, but not for you.
And since one of my issues is, a residue of anger, will this approach of rebalancing the nervous system and EFT, does that help to, even if I can never uncover the whys of it, will it at least help to dissipate it?
Absolutely. I think EFT is going to be a tool for you in particular that is going to be very powerful. And we can even do an EFT on processing anger over failed treatments in the past. Like that to me sounds like a really powerful EFT that we haven't done before either. No one in the group has done that particular EFT, and many people will connect with that because that might be something you want to do daily, right? Because there is anger and resentment, and there's not always a finger to point at. Sometimes in the short term, it can feel great to like, oh, it was that horrible therapist or that stupid nutritionist or this misguided doctor. Sometimes there are situations in recovery where people have truly done us wrong, but sometimes, the timing wasn't right, or we weren't ready, or we just didn't have the knowledge. It wasn't available then that we have now, or we didn't even have the experience to know how to make the right choices for ourselves. And I think that the good news about the things that haven't worked for you, Florence, is that you have a lot of data now and you have more clarity, and you, I'm guessing, can see maybe in the past times when you were willful and obstinate and how that maybe didn't work for you, right? And so you have a new willingness today, at least from what I've witnessed, you have a willingness today that you didn't have before, and that's a game changer.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. To me, honestly, the most important prognostic indicator of how well someone is going to do in their recovery is their willingness and ability to be honest with themselves and with me. Because if we are pulling the wool over our own eyes, or we're pulling the wool or leaving things out with the people who are trying to help us, we don't see the full picture, then it's hard to get a full recovery. And that happens with time. It doesn't have to be in, one fell swoop. It can come in layers. Many people in this group have a history of trauma, whether it's physical or sexual trauma, or trauma related to mental health world experiences or recovery experiences that have gone south. So it is my priority to create a very, very safe container for all members of this group. Anything that is said in the group stays in the group, and that is sacred, and there has never been an issue. And I think once you truly do feel grounded and safe, it becomes much more natural and easy to really have that full transparency. And there's no one's getting graded here. We're not here to impress each other with either how well we're doing or how not well we're doing. Like, each individual has their story, and it's been just the most incredible, loving, and supportive group in terms of people at all different stages of recovery, for sure. Okay, before we wrap up, any other questions? Just raise your hand or unmute. I'm happy that you all could get on today. The weeks can be so hectic, so I thought maybe just popping on a Sunday afternoon would be fruitful, and I'm glad it was. And Liza, thank you for inspiring me to do it. She had some questions, and I know that others do as well. And I just want you to feel good about the decision that you're making. That said, as I always say, that we growth happens at the edge of our comfort zone, so it's okay to feel slightly uncomfortable, and it is a big investment. But I believe when we invest in ourselves, truly we get a return and we have the commitment. And truly, this is the most amazing community of women, and I'm so, you know, like attracts like, and so I just feel very blessed to get to work with each and every one of you that join the group. If other questions do come up, please let me know. There is a pretty detailed, frequently asked questions on the registration page as well. And I'm thrilled several of you have already signed up, and I can't wait for May 1st to come around. There's nothing that you need to do ahead of time. There is some stuff in your portal if you want to get a head start and get a sense of things, but there's literally nothing that you need to do between now and then except trust that you're in the right place. Robin wrote in the chat that it's life-changing. Thank you. And thank you, Robin, for being a part of this. So I'm sending you all the love. Thank you for being here today. I will share the recording of this as well by email in case there's anything that you want to review. And I just hope you have a beautiful Sunday, and I hope to see you on May 1st. Much love, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're so welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.